You're tuned into the Growth Ceilings podcast, the show for builders, dreamers, and leaders ready to break limits and grow beyond what they thought possible.
Welcome to the Growth Ceilings podcast. I'm your host, Jim Lovelady. I am a professional EOS implementer. EOS stands for the Entrepreneurial Operating System. Today, I'm joined by Neil Katz, CEO and founder of Exceptional HR Solutions, a Dallas-based firm providing fractional and project-based HR leadership to growing companies. Neil has more than 16 years of experience leading human resources for major organizations such as Baylor Scott and White Health, the Exchange, and Function of Beauty. Through Exceptional HR Solutions, he now helps business owners align people, culture, and performance, removing all the bottlenecks that appear as companies scale. He's also a resilience-building leadership professional and a coach to executives navigating the intersection of growth and culture. Neil, I'm thrilled to have you here on the show. Welcome.
Jim, thanks so much for having me today. I'm glad to be with you, and I'm excited to have our conversation.
I had this one circled on the calendar. I'm very much looking forward to our conversation. So for the audience, let's give them a little background, who you are, what you do, and what's brought you to this point.
So, Jim, I've been in corporate HR for a long time. 16 years is close, but I quit counting, as I like to tell people. When you just stop counting and you just recognize I've been in this for a long time. I'm a sage professional, as I like to say it. And what I do is I worked in corporate America, and I had the opportunity to start this firm. And we'll talk a little bit about what made me start this or got me into this. But we provide fractional HR services to small to medium-sized companies throughout the United States and helping them align their people and business strategies together and really allowing them to take and release the drama and trauma of people operations and let us do it for them. We're the experts. We've been doing this, and we know how to minimize and mitigate, and allowing our leaders to get anywhere from 4 to 8, sometimes 12 hours a week back in their schedules so we can manage that HR function for them.
I think both of our fractional backgrounds, mine as a fractional chief revenue officer, chief sales officer, yours in the HR area of expertise. I think that's what brought you and I together several years ago, and I'm glad we're speaking today. So you've led HR for companies ranging from startups to large organizations with thousands of employees. What inspired you to launch Exceptional HR Solutions and take the fractional HR path?
You know, Jim, I get that question all the time. What was I want to make a difference. And to be very candid, in corporate America, when you work in these medium to large enterprise companies, domestic, global, throughout the world, it's bigger than moving the Titanic. And the reality is you get to make incremental, and I mean truly small incremental changes. And those changes take 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I want to make a difference with companies today. I want to make an impact. I want to be able to help people and make a difference. And fundamentally, that's what started this company, was to make a difference. And we're still trekking along, making a great difference today. And the goal is to make a bigger difference in the future.
The name of this podcast is the Growth Ceilings Podcast. And I'm going to tie into that right now. Many businesses hit a growth ceiling without realizing that people, systems, not strategy, are often the constraint. What are some of the early warning signs leaders should look for?
First, easy warning sign. How much time are you spending? And my favorite catchphrase is on the drama and trauma of people. I don't mean celebrations. I don't mean birthdays. I don't mean milestones. I mean unemployment claims, behavior, 26 interviews, litigation, compliance, all those things. How much time are you spending? Because the reality is, if you're spending more than 5%, maybe 10% of your time in HR, that's your flag to pick up the phone and have a conversation with me and my team, because I promise you, we can save you time.
You describe your work as making HR easy. What does that mean in practice for the small and mid-sized businesses you serve?
So I always tell people, you know what, when you started your company, you pick something you love and it's your passion. And candidly, it might not come easy, but it's what you love to do and you get energy out of it. What we do is we take our passion, which is HR, and believe it or not, we started this firm to help people. And the difference here is, how do we make it easy? Is we know what we're doing. You know, my favorite new technology everybody loves is our world of chat GPT and AI, and how does it work? And all I need to do is ask it the right questions. The reality is, you don't have 25 years of experience, a team of 20 people with 450 years combined experience. Our job is to make it easy. You don't have to prompt us with questions. We know what questions to ask, and we know to get you quickly, accurately, compliantly, and appropriately to the right solutions.
You know, this is a fascinating topic. Culture tends to evolve quickly in growth environments. How do you help companies protect what's working while modernizing their structure and processes?
I think the first thing about culture is, as we all know, first you need to understand what your culture is and recognize that you think it may be one thing and sometimes it's not. So, first thing I always tell people before you ensure your culture is where you're trying to evolve and maintain and ensure you're achieving that success, make sure you understand where you truly are, not what you believe, but what your teams believe. Second, what you do with culture is how you evolve culture and how you achieve great culture success with growing companies is you define those key deliverables, those key things you want in your culture, what's important to you, why it matters to you. And then you hold on to those things and they become truly the cornerstones of your business. It's just like when you build a home, those first 3 or 4 bricks in the foundation stay forever. And without those, your home will crumble. So make sure you clearly define the non negotiables of what is so important to you and what made your company what it is. And make sure 20 years from now, those still same pillars are in place for you.
Yeah, one of the things that we talk about in EOS, and you're familiar with EOS, is the people component of a business. I've got this shown here on the screen. You can see here on the left side, getting the right people into the right seats is so important and such a roadblock for many small to medium-sized businesses. They run out and they hire Jim, they hire Neil, they hire Mary, and they think they got the right people. Maybe they inherited them. Maybe it's a family-run business. Perhaps you acquired these people in some acquisition or merger with another business, and you assume because this person has the label as VP of Operations, Chief Financial Officer, Chief Revenue Officer, whatever the titles may be, that they come with all of the cooperative skills to make them the right person for the right seat. When you see right person, right seat, what comes to mind when you see that?
One of the things I love about the EOS model, and we have 10, 15 of our clients today using the EOS model. We love our EOS clients. And to be honest, our goal is to work with more of them because what we recognize is right people, right seat is foundational to us. And what that means, and one of the things that leaders struggle to recognize is right people, right seat at this time, but right people, right seat in the future. So that one of the things that I see many founders and leaders, including myself at times, struggle with is, do we have the right people in the right seat to get us from point A to B? But more importantly, from B to C. And as in rapid growth companies, what happens is you might have had the right people in the right seat at a point in time. But if you had 1, 2, 3, 5, 10x growth, there's a very good chance those are not the right people any longer in the right seats. You might need to bring somebody, as you said earlier, with some of the C-suite titles that maybe that's truly a director, a manager, possibly a VP role. But the reality is you truly need a chief revenue officer rather than a sales manager. And the reality is, as you grow and scale, where we see that huge opportunities is continuing to evaluate the right people, right seats, and making sure you're always looking at that week over week, month over month, and just making sure you stay on track with that.
You've led major HR transformations in healthcare, retail, and consumer brands. Which lessons from those environments apply most directly to entrepreneurial companies today?
I'll tell you, it's the same lesson that has always applied. People are the cornerstone of our business. Without the right people, you fail to achieve the success you truly desire. You might achieve success, you might achieve growth, you might achieve some improvements in margin and profitability. But what I have seen in every one of these companies is the biggest impact to any business I've ever seen is truly the right people. And candidly, when you make those hard decisions and you make a change or you bring in a different talent, I've never met a leader yet that said, oh my gosh, I should have waited longer to make this change. Everybody says, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this a week, a month, a year ago? Everybody says, we should have done this sooner. And the reality is it's a people business. Yes, technology is amazing. Resources, streamlining processes, workflows, automations. It's great. But rarely am I seeing many companies without people.
I'll add to what you just shared, and that oftentimes not only is the owner or the entrepreneur saying, I should have done this sooner, but the team, the leadership team is probably thanking that decision being made and giving everyone relief.
It's everybody in the team. And everyone's like, why did we wait? And again, look, we are dealing with people's lives. I don't want to be cavalier about this. I do want people to recognize I'm not saying to separate people or terminate people. What I do want to clarify is I want us to find the right seat. There are times that people belong in different roles. The quick story, and I'll give you a very quick story. I did not start in HR. I started in retail operations. And 25 plus years ago, I had a great leader sitting across from me that hired me and said, Neil, you're in the wrong role. You belong in HR, not ops. I didn't make that decision. It was somewhat made for me. And to this day, I'm the most blessed individual that somebody put me in the right seat at the right time and allowed me to create a career I never thought I would have and now build a company that I never thought I would build.
We probably both share in the same experience where we've both been part of dysfunctional leadership teams. And I've even been the wrong person in the right seat because I did not subscribe to undefined values that were only presented to me much past the point of being put into the role that I was hired for. And sometimes it's not the right fit. And when you discover it's not the right fit, you got to do the right thing, and that's make the change. So I'm glad you brought that up. As a resilience building leadership professional, you coach leaders through transition and change. What's the most common mindset shift that unlocks sustainable growth?
I think the most common mindset shift is don't give up. Be persistent. Here's the analogy I give every one of your listeners to ask themselves. Look at your career as a whole for a second. Think of the moment you grew and developed the most in your career. And all of your listeners are thinking through this, and now they all have this picture of when it was. And my question is this: it was the most challenging, difficult time you've ever had. And you know what? It's okay, because when we're challenged, we're stretched, is when we grow and develop. So we should embrace the challenge, the difficulties, the uncertainties, because that's when we grow and develop in our leadership, our competencies, our employment. Functionally speaking, I tell every leader, if you're going through and executing day in, day out, and it's becoming standard process, it's time for a change. It's time to push yourself outside your comfort zone, because that's where the real magic happens. And if you're looking for real magic, let's get outside of our comfort zones, and we'll find the magic there.
Yes. I think you'll certainly relate to this. Many founders delay building out HR infrastructure until problems actually surface. What's your advice on when and how to invest in HR leadership?
Jim, I get this all the time. And candidly, that's why I started this business, is I want leaders to have the ability to hire a fractional resource. A resource, look, I have companies we work with 2, 3, 4 hours a month. People are like, that's it? Yes, that's it. We'll help you. It might not be as much as you need, but let us partner with you. Let us start building that foundation. Let us start helping you. Because the reality is, the more time we can give you back and the less friction points you have, the better off you're going to be as a leader. So it's really about supporting you and the company and allowing you to have that time back.
So Neil, you've implemented HR systems for compliance, culture, and performance. Which technology or processes have had the biggest impact for your clients recently?
I'm not sure you'll like the answer. I'll let you tell me your thoughts, but candidly, all of them, if they're bought in and accepted at the leadership level and the employee level. I've developed and implemented systems across multitudes of companies. But what's interesting is when you go back 6, 12 months later and you look at utilization of those technologies, the greater the utilization, the greater their impact. So if leadership buys in, the teams buy in, it's taught, trained, people understand it, you morph it to ensure it aligns to the culture, you'll have great buy-in. But you can spend millions upon millions of dollars in technology that does nothing. And the reason it does nothing is you didn't get the buy-in at the right levels, and you didn't get people to utilize and engage with that software.
Buy-in begins at the top. Adoption is only going to happen if everybody from the top down understands and clearly gets the fact that it's a priority for the business. And that's so important and oftentimes missed.
For sure.
Exceptional HR Solutions works across industries from healthcare to e-commerce. What universal people challenges do you see regardless of company size or sector?
So, Jim, it's funny. We counted up recently. We're actually in 24 different industries today we support. And what's interesting is it's the same thing. It doesn't matter what industry, what region of the country, you're going to be faced with the challenges of people and understanding the needs of people. And I will tell you the secret sauce. I tell people the number one thing that people are looking for today, besides money, and you got to pay an equitable wage, will not negotiate their dispute that. But really what they want is dedicated, focused, uninterrupted time with their leader. Truly focused attention from that leader to understand them, respect them, and engage them. And honestly, have a conversation with them when they don't think they're in trouble, they didn't do something wrong, or just calling them to celebrate a one-off. But call them and say, Jim, how's your day? What's wrong? Nothing. I just want to check in on you. What do you need? I don't. I'm here to check on you, Jim, and make sure you're okay. And if there's anything I could do for you, and if not, my one question to you is, what can we do to make your job better? Honestly, Jim, 5-10 minute conversation.
You and I use the same term fractional, and I'm going to argue that fractional has only become a buzzword, a symbol of consultants type folks, only going back with the last 10 years. I'm going to say around 2018, it became like the most overused word we've heard over the last 7 years. My question is, when you hear the term servant leadership, I think that's another piece of jargon, another buzz term we hear a lot. But when you hear that term, what comes to mind?
Servant leaders is leaders that serve their team. We ask our folks to take care of our customers. Our job as leaders and managers and executives is to serve our constituents. And our true constituents are the employees of our companies. And if we serve them well, we take care of them, we understand them, we support them, we challenge them, we reprimand them when it's necessary, we coach them where they need it. That's serving our people.
So I'll get you out of here on this. Looking ahead, what excites you most about the future of human resources? And how do you see fractional or outsourced HR changing the way growing businesses scale?
Two things. One, I love the new world of AI and everything AI brings because, again, it's another tool in our toolbox to allow us to get away from the things that need to be done, have to be completed, but add less than great value to the business. So one, I think AI is going to continue to be a huge impact on everybody's business, how we operate, how we function. That's an important part of what the future is yet to bring to us. And then what is fractional and outsourced HR? I think it's going to be the gold standard of small to medium-sized companies. And I actually think we're going to see it more in medium-sized companies than we've seen today. They realize they can get a 15, 20, 30-year veteran to come work with them 5-10 hours a week to support a key function. And honestly, that's all they need. They really don't need a chief X or a VP of Y or a SVP of C. Honestly, I can get you that same caliber person at 10 to 15 hours a week with equal or better results than you probably have today with a full-time in-house.
Completely agree with you. And this has been outstanding. Neil, thank you for joining me today. You've given a clear picture of how intentional HR strategy can unlock growth, build stronger teams, and help leaders focus on what really matters. For our listeners who want to connect with Neil or learn more about his work, visit exceptionalhrsolutions.com or connect with him on LinkedIn. That wraps up today's episode of the Growth Ceilings podcast. I'm Jim Lovelady. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
You've been watching the Growth Ceilings podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's ready to grow.